Hey everybody, this is Belit, and I thought this might actually be a pretty good time to make a general Green Lantern guide. Now that the Jon Stewart skin is out, I'm sure a lot of people are going to try to play Green Lantern, so this might actually be a pretty good time to do it. So we're going to go over some of his good normal attacks, some of the combo strings, specials, the trait, and then we're going to do combos and kind of dip into the resets that you can do with Green Lantern. So I've highlighted some of his best neutral game attacks. We've got back 1, which is a low, I believe 9 frames. And then we have the forward 3, which is an overhead. It's also a pretty decent anti-air. I like using it as an anti-air. So about forward 3, this is actually, I really like this as an anti-air. Let's go ahead and put the computer to jump forward here. Now I prefer the forward 3 over the down 2, which is of course the uppercut. If you know that your opponent is going to be jumping in, don't uppercut, forward 3 instead. It's far better. You can get a significant punish from it. You can activate your trait and now, they're in deep doo-doo. It feels like it's just significantly better. If you have to, you can go into, this down 2, if you're caught with your pants on the ground, but don't rely on your down 2 as your anti-air if you can forward 3. And then we also have his jumping 3, which I think is his best cross-up. That's definitely my favorite. Yes, you can cross up with the jump 1 as soon as I say that. Now I'm not able to get it. There we go. And technically you can cross up with the jump 2 as well, but I mean, don't rely on that. So personally I feel his jump 3 is probably his best cross-up tool. You can get a combo off of it. So I feel like those are his best attacks in the neutral game. Now let's move on to combo strings. Okay, so here are his combo strings. He actually doesn't have a ton. These are actually all the strings completely filled out. So we're not counting the strings when, on Grand Slam, we're not counting 223 as a string. We have the full thing here. So these are all his complete strings. So he doesn't have a ton of things that you need to memorize, which is very good because it makes him a lot easier to digest. So we're going to go through these combo strings and kind of figure out which ones are more neutral game and which ones are combo game. So the first we have 1, 2, 3. This is a combo string. You only really want to use this in the middle of a combo. Back 1, 2 and back 1, 3, these are good neutral game combo strings. So we're definitely going to want to talk about those a little bit more in a minute here. Grand Slam, 2, 2, 3, 1, not a good thing in the neutral game. It's pretty much a combo string. It's a little weird, but whatever. We're sticking with it. The Guardian combo string, this is actually fairly good in the neutral game. We'll get into that a little bit later. And Brightest Day, this is a combo string. So let's go ahead and eliminate some of these combo ones and talk more about the neutral game combo strings. Okay, so Justice is Served, the back 1, 2, is a low into overhead. Now this is actually, I feel, where his mind games really start to come into play. Once people start to block the overhead after the low, then you get an opportunity to be a complete jerkwad to them, because you don't always have to commit to the overhead. What you can do is actually just let the back 1 recover and then go into back 1 again. So if they're starting to block this low into overhead consistently, they're always getting it all the time, they're always blocking that low into overhead. Now what you can do is something like this. So once they're conditioned to block low and then overhead, you're using that conditioning, you're using their knowledge of your character to screw them over and get them killed. So essentially you're punishing them for learning about your character, which is always an excellent thing. So it's always something to keep in mind. And of course, if they think, oh, he's trying to bluff me, he's trying to screw with my head, now they don't even know. They don't even know what they're doing anymore. You've completely screwed them in the head. They don't know how to block. They're just making guesses all the time now. And you've got them opened up in the mind. And that's the best way to open somebody up. Okay, so now onto the Guardian combo string. There are some interesting things that you can do with this Guardian combo string. I personally prefer to do forward 2, down 1, and go into trait from there. Down 1 is an overhead, which you see right there. But there is another option that is very, very good. I'm going to show you my personal preference. Okay, just go straight into the combo from here. Okay, so if they're not going to block the overhead, bam, you get them straight away. However, you can also do something like this. Okay, so what happened there is that I went through the entire combo and then went into Turbine Smash at the end, and Turbine Smash kept me right at my opponent so that I could give them a 50-50 as soon as they were trying to wake up. Now, the great thing about this, Turbine Smash is actually 0 on whiff. So let's go ahead and look at it right here. No recovery frames. Now, if they block it, you've got 23 frames to have your crap pushed in. But if you have the overhead connecting, then you're not going to have to worry about that. But it's a bit of a risk, which is why I personally choose to go into trait. However, I'm probably going to start doing that a little bit more. I'm probably going to start using the turbine a little bit more, just because it is so effective, and I wanna learn how to make better use of that. Now, I typically don't use that Guardian string all that much. When I do use it, I do go into the trait, but I'm going to be putting that Turbine Smash in there a little bit more because I do think that it is very, very good. And I want to be more familiar with the Turbine Smash in general. I think it is a very important tool for him, but it is a very risky tool at the same time. And we'll get into that when we talk about specials. So the thing about the Turbine Smash follow-up is that you're actually safe from wake-up attacks. So this is a 9-frame wake-up. It's not the fastest wake-up in the game, but this will give you the point that we're safe. Okay? We can't be hit after this. We're 0. We're 0. We're completely safe. The only way that we'll get hit is if we decide to do something. So if you think that they're going to wake up, you can punish. You can just block it and take your punish. Okay, so in specials we have Oa's Rocket, an air variant and a ground variant. The ground variant is a high, so it can be ducked. How much does it do? 10%? 8% on the ground, and it also does 8% in the air. Oh, I went forward there, sorry. It does 8% in the air, and it is an overhead in the air. Now, without the air version of the Oa's Rocket, this move would be almost completely useless. You have to know the air version in order to make this tool viable. When you mix in the air version with the ground version, now you have a very strong, well, not very strong, it's not comparable to some of the other zoning aspects in the game, but you do have a significantly stronger zoning tool than if you just had the ground version or if you just had the air version. So it is very, very important to understand both of these attacks, both of the variants, to kind of get an idea of how far the air Oa's Rocket goes and when to mix in this ground one. Rocket power, I never liked the show and I don't like the move either. You have 3 different versions of it, close, medium, and far, but you're really not going to find much use for this. I actually don't know if you can combo into it. Maybe you can, but that combo would be very, very odd. I don't even know if it can be comboed into. The move is kind of bad in general. I'm going to show you the real only thing that you can do with it, and this is kind of a gimmick, really, to be honest. That's really all that you can do with it, but it's not safe to do. That's the thing. Once your opponent realizes that it's not safe to do and that they're not stuck in block stun that entire time that the Oa's Rocket is being charged up and then sent towards them, once they figure out that they can do something in between that time, you're going to get hit. It is combo punishable. So, you know, I really just don't feel like this move really has any purpose. I mean, maybe if you're really far out and you think, oh, they're just going to try to jump forward, you can use this, but, I mean, why not just do the air Oa's Rocket and just keep them in check that way? You can always meter burn it in combo if they're close enough, you know, and I just don't feel like this move is really anything more than a gimmick at times. So I mean, if you want to, I'm sure that even if an opponent knows about it, you might hit them with it once, you know, and they'll take that little bit of chip. But it's a gimmick, and I don't think it's all that effective. I think the majority of the time that people will block it, they'll think that you're using minigun instead. So, and you might as well use minigun. So, I don't know. And plus, you can meter burn the minigun if you're a little scared. I mean, I don't know. It's just, let's see. Let's look at the minigun on block. It's -5. You're not getting punished for that. So, I mean, yeah, you'll probably have to block, but I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like it's really a viable thing to make use of. Okay, let's just go ahead and move on. I've said my piece about that for about 10 minutes. Let's go on to Lantern's Might. Okay, so Lantern's Might, everybody knows Lantern's Might. Lantern's Might is probably Green Lantern's best overall attack. It's an anti-air. Let's see the max distance here. Yeah, it's an anti-air. It's a whiff punish. It's just really good, and the bad part about it is significant, because if you do have this blocked and you're in, you know, any kind of close range, you're probably gonna get hurt. It's not something that you want to just blindly throw out. I mean, you've got 26 frames of block disadvantage here. That's a full combo. Sure, it's not a combo with a jump in, but it's a full combo punish. You're gonna get hurt, especially if you do it at this kind of range. At that point, you're asking to get hurt. Do not use Lantern's Might at the end of a block string. If you're going to use something at the end of a block string, you know, make it this minigun. You know, that's your best option, really. You're -5 on the minigun. You're not going to directly be punished. You're going to have to block in all likelihood, depending on what character it is, actually. Some characters might not have something that extends that far, but it's safer than guaranteeing a punish, essentially. And that's what you're going to be doing if you use the Lantern's Might at the end of a block string. So really make sure that when you use Lantern's Might, you're using it when you know it's going to hit. I can't stress that enough. Do not use it when you're unsure. It is a decent wake-up attack if you're sure, but you can very easily get blown up for using Lantern's Might off of wake-up. You can very easily get blown up for using it at the end of a block string. If you are unsure of what's going to happen if you use Lantern's Might, chances are you shouldn't use it. So minigun is actually really cool. I really like using minigun off of the opponent's wake up, just to try to keep them a little bit more honest. You know, if they do wake up into minigun, they start to realize, oh crap, with that there, I have to be careful about waking up. And once you put that into their head, you've now given yourself an opportunity to start putting them in really crappy situations off of wake up and start making them guess. So the minigun is a very, very great tool for that, and I love, love, love it. It's also a very good tool after a block string. If you can actually confirm that your attacks are being blocked, you can go into minigun here and make it kind of safe. Now, depending on the characters, you may or may not be forced absolutely to block afterwards. Minigun is -5 on block. Generally, you're going to want to block, but you might be able to backdash in a lot of cases here. And I mean, you get a bit of distance here. Some characters might not really be able to hit you at that range, so you may still be okay. And then, of course, if they do something and you know they're going to whiff, bam, you can hit them with the back one and go into a combo off of it. But I do believe that the minigun is probably your best option to end a block string with if you can confirm that they are definitely going to block. You're going to get a little bit of extra chip off of it. If something is kind of unsafe, then you can make it a lot more safe with the minigun, and the worst that's going to happen is that you'll have to block afterwards. But it's much better than getting hit by a combo. So definitely something to keep in mind. It's also fairly good if your opponent is jumping in at a range here, and you just kind of let the minigun rock, and they just kind of fall onto the minigun. You can also meter burn it if you just want it to last a little bit longer. Minigun meter burn is freaking awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. So minigun, one of the best specials that he has. Now, Turbine Smash. Turbine Smash is something that I am actually still kind of experimenting with, trying to find a good middle ground with it. The bad thing about Turbine Smash is that on block, it is minus 23. Look at that. However, if you look at the recovery, it's kind of interesting. It's 0 frames. That's curious, isn't it? Now, the air turbine smash does have recovery because, you have to kind of fall down. So, typically you're going to want to try to use the ground turbine when you can. However, the air turbine is actually pretty good against, like, Superman. If Superman's jumping up and doing eye lasers, then you'll want to do the air turbine because it's not like he can block in the air anyway. However, you can actually be beaten if he does the meter burn version. So, essentially, you might have to put a meter up for the air turbine smash in order to punish a Superman player if they have meter. They can always meter burn and hit you anyway before you hit them with the turbine smash. Freaking Superman. But yeah, you do have that option. And actually, we might go and look at Superman in just a minute and talk about the eye laser thing with turbine smash. But first I want to talk a little bit more about applications of turbine smash. Now, we went over the Guardian combo string, which is forward 2, down 1, 3 into turbine. Now, of course, the bad thing is if that's blocked, 23 frames to get your crap pushed in. But if it hits, you can go into a 50-50, and that's the beauty of turbine smash, is that it has 0 frames of recovery. So if it whiffs, you can do whatever the heck you want. The turbine smash is really good if you can make it whiff. If your opponent is zoning you out, let's say you're full screen here, you can use this, and bam. You just got a low from full screen that you can combo off of. Now if you're a little bit closer, which the distance, you really gotta know your distance in order to make this work. Like right there, I didn't even get it right there. So we're gonna back up just a little bit more. I'm thinking maybe right about here. Nope, still not. Trying to get it as close as possible. There we go. Then you can get a 50-50 if you're just at the right spot. But it's something that you really want to be careful about, because if they block it, you're going to be hurt. That's the thing. This is a very risky kind of thing, and if you don't have just the right spacing, which you just saw there, you can't have the 50-50. You're going to be forced to go low. However, it is still good because you're in and you're going to force your opponent to block. So even if you're forced to go low, even if you're at full screen here and they know that you have to go low, they still have to block it, and that's great. So the turbine smash is really interesting. If you're in the corner here, you can also use it to cross up. The slimy stuff, So yeah, turbine smash is very interesting. It's something that I think Green Lantern players have to really experiment with. I will readily admit that my turbine smash use is very poor. I still need a lot of experience with it. However, there is potential in this move. It's just something that you really have to learn, and you have to go through, and you have to experience in order to really understand where it shines. So Green Lantern Super is really nothing all that impressive. Meh. It can be used as an anti-air. Of course, it gains armor, so I mean that's a big bonus. But it's not as game-changing as, let's say, Green Arrow or Superman's Super. It's not going to become a factor. Okay, so we talked about Superman versus Turbine Smash, and I wanted to demonstrate that here. Now, you can try to fight Superman in this, but chances are you're not going to have a good time. Now, I recorded Superman jumping straight up. Most Supermans are going to jump back and do the eye lasers, which is going to be a pain in the freaking butt. You're going to take a bit of chip as you're trying to get in there. So what you might want to do is instead use the turbine. See an example here. Now, there are some negatives to that. As you just saw, I hit him to the other side of the freaking screen. That didn't help anything. Plus, Superman can actually meter burn his eye lasers and hit you if you don't have it just right on time. So if you're doing it from like full screen right here, it's also going to miss. You got to jump forward if you're going to do it. There you go. So what I can do is something like this. See, I got a lot closer than I would have if I just tried to dash forward. Okay? And I got in safely. That's a big factor. You want to use that stuff wisely. You want to learn when you can use the turbine smash and make it whip, and how you can use it as a great tool of mobility, not necessarily as a attacking tool, you see? So I hope that that kind of gives you an idea of how you should look at the turbine smash. It's more about mobility than it is damage or attacking. It's this great tool that you really have to be careful with. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the trait. I really like Green Lantern's trait. I love it. I love the mechanic that it brings in. Now, if you don't understand what the trait is for, the trait is supposed to actually allow Green Lantern to combo. To really be able to combo when otherwise he wouldn't be able to. If he didn't have his trait, this is what you'd be forced to do if you wanted damage. Okay, if you landed a raw Lantern's Might, you have to meter burn. Okay, most of your combos are going to rely on you meter burning. I mean, that's what you get if you try to avoid meter burn or using meter. You get 26% for that. I mean, really? That's what we're gonna have to go with. So if you wanted to try to create a combo that didn't use meter, I mean, really the most you could get is something like this. But you have to use meter for just about everything else. I mean, look at Oa's Rocket. Gotta use a meter in order to combo off of that. Lantern's Might, gotta use a meter if you want to combo off of that. He's not designed in order to actually be able to combo without using meter. And that's where the trait comes in. Essentially, the trait is an extra meter. It enhances some of the other attacks. Like, it gives him access to a bounce in his Lantern's Might attack, which is so incredibly useful that it allows him to actually combo where before he might be just completely limited to something like this. 11%. But now that you put in this trait here, now all of a sudden he gets 22%. Okay, so this trait, I love how it interacts with the meter, and it creates this kind of management of, do I use my trait or do I use my meter? And we're going to go into combos, trait versus meter in just a minute here, but I really wanted to talk about how the trait changes certain moves. So let's go ahead and look at minigun here. Okay, see the range for minigun? It's about 50-60% of the screen. Yeah, closer to 50, I think. But let's activate the trait. Look at that! It's a huge difference, right? I mean, that looks like 75% of the screen here. Now, once it's gone, of course, you see the huge difference. So now we're going to go into Lantern's Might. This is regular Lantern's Might. This is Lantern's Might with trait. I can combo off of it now. Okay, I got 20% for a raw Lantern's Might, where before I got 6%. You see, it's a huge difference. And now it gives Green Lantern access to combos that are actually respectable without him having to use a meter. Okay, 31% no meter, but he used the trait. So there's a really awesome balancing act between the trait and the meter, and I really, really appreciate that. But it is something that you're going to have to work on. It's something that you're going to have to experiment with. You're going to have to fight matches, and you're going to have to see those times where you overcommitted, where you used trait and you used meter and you didn't get anything off of it, where you just kind of you messed up, where you could have used trait instead. It's something that you kind of learn. Okay, so I want to make it clear, I am not going to show you every single combo that Green Lantern can do. I'm going to show you a select few combos, maybe some of my personal favorites, but you can always go and experiment on your own. Combos are something that you can very easily do. I felt like it wasn't important to focus on combos for a guide. I felt it was more important to focus on the things that you're doing when you're actually playing the character. So that's why combos are at the end, but I do want to get into combos, and I do want to get into the resets, because Green Lantern is very heavy with his resets. So let's go ahead and start with combos. Now, if you want to get big damage, and let's say you're going to get it off of a jumping 3, you can always do this. You're going to be using 1 bar of meter, but you're not going to be using trait. You're committing to only 1 bar, and you're getting 40% off of this jump in. Now, raw, just a raw Lantern's Might, meter burn, you can get 32%. Okay, but with the jump in here, you can get 40%. Very easy. This is low execution stuff. Now, one of the most important things is to learn the combo off of back 1. The back 1-3 trait. This is one of the most important things to learn, because this is a free 22%. If your opponent is not blocking low, you should be able to hit them with this kind of stuff. Now, that combo is actually very, very important later on when we talk about some like shenanigan stuff, mix-up resets, all that stuff. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So off of back 1, we have that first combo with the trait, but we don't have to do that. We can actually go and we can use meter if we want. And we get 32%. So we're avoiding trait and using meter instead, which is what you typically want to do. If you're going to use meter, you typically want to only use meter. If you're going to use trait, you typically want to only use trait. So now off of forward 3, there's actually a lot of things that you can do off of forward 3. You can go into trait here. Nice, 31%. Or if you want damage, you can always do this. 39%. Not bad, right? Of course, there are other variations that you might like a little bit more. Some that are a little bit easier. This is 38%, I believe. Yes, 38%. And it is a little bit easier to do. So there are going to be times where you're lucky enough to land Oa's rocket. You can combo off of Oa's rocket if you decide to use a meter. So we're using a meter and trait. We're going to get 34% off of that. Green Lantern has some resets and mix-ups that he can use. I'm going to show off a few of them here so that you get a general idea of what he can do. I hope you enjoyed this Green Lantern guide. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments section and I will do my best to get to them. If you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful, I would greatly appreciate it if you would support the video. You can do that by leaving a like or sharing it with people that you think might enjoy this. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.